Hey, you want to know how to make sure your company accelerates quickly right from the start, and maybe you know how to get more people on board. You can really scale. You can make a big impact in your industry. Well, I talked to Andrew Butt. He's the founder and CEO of Enable, and what they've been able to do is phenomenal. They've grown really, really quickly. He's even moved across the globe to help make it happen. He shares that you have to be primely focused in a niche. You've got to have your focus of where you're going to compete, not worry about going outside. And I love the way he puts it. I really think you're going to enjoy this one. Check it out.
Welcome to SaaS-Story in the Making, the podcast that features the people who made the software world what it is today and the leaders who are shaping the future of technology. Here's your host, Matt Wallach.
Yes, I am Matt. Welcome. This is SaaS-Story in the Making. Really excited to have you here. Thank you very much for coming. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. It is going to be a great day today. I am thrilled to be joined by my special guest, Andrew Butt. Andrew, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Matt. It's great to be here.
Oh, it's super awesome to have you here. Let me tell everybody about you, Andrew. Andrew is the founder and CEO of Enable. And Enable is a leading collaboration platform for maximizing the performance of your B2B deals while improving financial transparency and driving operational efficiency. Really, it allows you to manage all of your deals and rebate calculations on one simple platform. He's also formerly the co-founder and managing director at DCS e-commerce. So he definitely knows his stuff when it comes to starting and running successful companies. Once again, Andrew, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Very happy to be here and great to meet you, Matt.
Very, very cool. Well, I want to know, tell me what's going on lately at Enable and what's coming up for you guys?
Sure. Yeah, well, a lot is going on. We're growing very rapidly. So I relocated from the UK to the US. I'm in San Francisco now at the beginning of last year. And at that point, we had 0 people in the US and 0 people in Canada. We were all in the UK where we started. And really, having won some great customers out here, I saw the opportunity to grow rapidly in North America. So we've been hiring a lot of people. We've got some great people on board, both in the US and Canada. We've opened offices in Toronto very recently, and we're probably now probably more than double the team size we were last year, and even more than double on customers and revenue. So certainly a lot going on.
That's amazing. I want to kind of touch on that a bit because there's a lot of people internationally that listen to this show. I have a lot of my clients are all around the world. In fact, the flag's behind my head. That's where all of my clients are. And the UK, where you're from, is the number 2 most popular spot for my clients, right behind the US. And so I want to know, what was it that made you decide, hey, we've got to get a presence in the US? How did you make that determination and how has it been?
Sure. Well, I think it was really part of a commitment to build a very significant company, build a company of consequence, something that could be truly global. And when we really saw the need for what we do and the response from our early customers, we realized that opportunity to be able to take this truly global. And I really looked at the map and looked at other software companies, let's say all the sort of top public companies we all know, and most of them are headquartered in the US, and in fact most of them headquartered in California. So that was a good starting point and a good clue that we should really have a physical presence here.
Yeah, exactly. And how has it been? It sounds like you've hired a bunch of people. How was that decision a good one?
Definitely, yeah. No, we've been able to get some great, amazing talent out here, and the other big thing is actually raising capital. So again, Silicon Valley, great place, best place in the world to meet the best investors who really understand how to create these global companies in software and SaaS, and that's been a great decision to set up here and raise investment here.
Okay, cool. Very, very cool. So tell me, what does Enable offer exactly? What exactly is it that you guys help people with?
Sure. So what we recognized is that the vast majority of global trade, across more than 50 industries, goes through the supply chain. It goes through retailers, it goes through distribution. It basically goes through a few steps to get from the manufacturer to the customer. And we all know, supply chain digitization is like a cliche, but it's been talked about a lot. But that supply chain is very manual, and there's a real lack of technology. So what Enable does is it really helps trading partners in the supply chain, like manufacturers and distributors, to collaborate together online, create trading programs together online, and really it helps those guys to service their customers better. And obviously, I can go more into that, but that's the broad space that we're in. So it's huge, and it's a wide open door based on the state of technology and the supply chain right now.
So technology is a bit behind, is what you're saying.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, I think B2C, e-commerce is definitely where most of the investment has been over the last 20 years, and that kind of B2B and supply chain space has been largely neglected.
How did you identify this as an area that definitely needs some tech improvement?
Yeah, so it's actually through my co-founder. Enable was created by me and my co-founder, a guy called Dennis Short, and Dennis is a very successful UK entrepreneur who runs now the largest distributor of health, beauty, and household products in the UK. So him and I met. We were actually both learning to fly. That's our other passion in life, and I was the kind of techie, and he was the business entrepreneurial guy. And we very quickly saw these challenges within his business and in his supply chain, if you like, and then realized it affected everyone else in the same way.
That's amazing. And then I am a huge airplane nut as well. Did you get your pilot's license?
I did. I actually got my helicopter license first, and
Oh,
that was
wow.
another story because I was really programming for the flying school, and they gave me flying lessons in exchange. I didn't expect it, but they were very generous, and so I got my helicopter license at a young age, and then did my fixed wing later.
Oh, that's amazing. Very, very cool. We'd have to talk about that on some other podcast someday, but that's amazing. So
Sure.
I want to know, can you tell us, I know you guys really focus on B2B rebates. How do B2B rebates work, and how is that different than maybe a consumer type rebate?
Sure. So I guess the overall principle is similar, which is it's really trying to drive behavior, and it's to incentivize people to behave in a certain way. So buy certain products, hit a certain quantity, hit a certain volume, and then get the rebate back. Whereas if you don't do a rebate and you just do, let's say, a discount, it doesn't really drive behavior because you can just buy one, whereas manufacturers want you to buy 50. So in that way, it's quite similar. But I think a difference is in the supply chain and in B2B, this is a huge everyday process, which is really just part of running the business. And but in the consumer world, it's more of like a one-off, and it's quite a kind of ad hoc process. So it's less important, I'd say, in the B2C world from what I can see.
Okay. Interesting. So I saw this piece that a lot of rebates are going unclaimed. Why are so many rebates going unclaimed? What's that about?
Because people don't track them correctly, and this is of course where software comes in. And so it's again, especially in the supply chain, in physical goods, which again is a huge percentage of all sales globally. Then each company uses their own tracking tools. Most of them are manual. They're kind of Excel spreadsheets and bits of paper even. And so that means it's just very difficult to keep up with what rebates are due and manage them correctly. And as a result, they go unclaimed.
Yeah, that's scary. And you talked about everybody tracking things manually, those that actually do, because it sounds like a lot aren't. But the ones who do, they're doing it on maybe spreadsheets and such. Your target market, do they understand that there's a better way? One, and if they maybe do, or you kind of educate them on that, how have you been able to get them to make a digital transformation to this? Because I think that that's something that a lot of software founders struggle with is, hey, what if someone is not using a product currently? That sounds great, but getting them to understand that they have a solution that's possible, that they have a better way, can be a challenge. How have you guys been able to do it, Andrew?
Sure. Well, I think timing for us has been good. So we actually kind of spun this off from our previous business, and the previous business was more a services company building software on a custom basis. And we kind of saw this come up quite a few times, and we saw the market starting to get a bit more educated. And then as that really started to pick up, we built a genuine SaaS product and launched Enable as a SaaS business. So the timing was just right, and there's no doubt there's still a lot of education. So a lot of people don't really understand this and don't really know this is out there, but that is absolutely changing. People are realizing this, and are kind of getting on board. So we're definitely at that inflection point, I would say, right now. But you're right, a few years ago would have been too early to do this.
And is there anything as part of your process? We focus a lot on sales and marketing here. Is there anything you're doing there to make sure people understand that this is the way of the future, or this is the way to do it, or maybe just get them really excited for what your product can do to solve their problems.
Sure, absolutely, yeah. So we talk a lot about the deal economy, as we call it, and we've got lots of content on our website and how important it is and how effective it can be at, again, driving behavior and being more joined up in the supply chain. So for manufacturers, their distributors are their sales teams, and they want to kind of have that integration and be working together. So we have a lot of thought leadership and content on why this is important. And then the product comes in later, really. We can certainly demo the product and show what it does, but we're already talking to a market that understands the importance of this and why it needs to be done well.
That is really, really important. I hope that everybody takes that to heart, that when you are demoing, you're already talking to somebody who gets it, who understands it. What are you guys doing to help educate them? Is it content? Is it you're doing some services like webinars or something? How are you getting them kind of warmed up and ready for this product?
Yeah, no, I think all of the above. So we certainly have some content and practices on what effective rebate deals look like, and we've got lots of case studies on how they work for our customers. We do videos. We've got a fairly active YouTube channel with customer interviews. We also do a very comprehensive ROI model where we can go in and work through all the different areas of kind of leakage and risk and opportunities. This is without getting into any software. It's just talking about the kind of business landscape and then showing them what the return could be for them of using an automated approach to managing their rebates. So lots of material, lots of content. I think videos are particularly work well, and customer engagement, and then also sponsoring industry events and speaking at industry events across different verticals that we operate in.
That's fantastic. I completely agree. That sounds like exactly what somebody should do if they want to go through this process. I hope people listening heard that. Just giving them the content, the videos, all the different ways that they can understand how this is going to make a change for them. That's huge. I love that. I want to know that I'm sure that went great, but what are some of the other key decisions or actions that you've taken along the way to kind of aid your growth? You guys have done great. What have been some of the key things that have done that for you, Andrew?
Yeah, so I think I always say focus is very important, and we had a massive transition from my previous life of a services company where we were providing lots of different services and building lots of different software to try and solve all sorts of problems, and that was fine, on a small scale and for the fairly small number of customers we had. But I think what's been important to enable is to be laser focused on what problems are we solving, how can we solve them better than anyone else, and then developing a great solution for that, and being quite narrow and deep. So that kind of depth and focus, I think, has been very important. And then I think also the transition we made of going from bootstrapped to venture backed was quite important, because we'd established that initial product market fit. We'd got great early case studies, and we needed to scale that out rapidly and keep ahead of anyone else in the market. And that was a really good decision to help us build momentum.
Yeah, I love that. When did you guys make that decision, or how did you come to that conclusion that, hey, we've been bootstrapped, but now we figured it out and now we can scale. Let's go get money. How exactly did that all happen?
Yeah, so I would say 2 years ago, 2019, we got quite a few customers on our platform, and again we were kind of getting great feedback from those customers. They were feeling the return and feeling the benefit, and we discovered quite a few different industries and geographies where we could be effective, and so it was time to put our foot on the gas, and we knew to go quickly. We would not have the capital to do that ourselves. We really and we want to go big. We want to take this company to IPO and beyond, and we weren't going to do that by bootstrapping. So 2 years ago, I decided to make that change. Started meeting investors, and we actually got to our Series A rapidly, and it was a really fast process.
That's awesome. Good for you. So cool that you were able to make that happen quickly. I know some people struggle with it, so I want to hear that there's some good things that happened, but I also want to know, what were some of the obstacles that you encountered along the way, and how did you overcome those to get to the success you've seen?
Sure. Well, I think that so many. So there's kind of working with big and often quite kind of traditional customers, traditional companies, and they're very risk averse and want to work with often very large companies and companies that are extremely proven, as opposed to a modern SaaS kind of startup. So the challenges there, getting all the right certifications, security wise and everything else, to give them confidence that we are a viable player and better than the kind of more traditional alternatives. So I guess that's one category of challenge. I think also, of course, building a team is always challenging, and managing a team remotely, hiring a team remotely, those things have been really quite difficult at times. But we've really done quite well, and hired some amazing people, got some great talent. I think probably customers and people are two big groups of challenges. I think the investment side of it was smooth, but as any process, also some ups and downs. And when the pandemic struck, for example, which actually was just after we'd raised the first round, the Series A, really working out how we were going to run the business, and having like a plan A and a plan B and a plan C, and kind of getting the backing and belief from our investors was important there. So I guess customer challenges, team, talent challenges, and then finally investors and board management.
Oh, that's fantastic. I'm so cool. I'm so glad you were able to overcome those challenges. I want to kind of dive into those. So on the customer side, you're absolutely right. I've seen that a lot, where enterprise companies, big companies, they don't really have a lot of trust in a new startup. Is this startup going to be able to deliver for us? Are they going to be around for a while? Do these people know what they're doing? How were you able to kind of get them to have that belief in you, that trust that you would be able to serve their needs?
Yeah, great question. So, I mean, we were fortunate because, again, our product was working very well, and we had a great team. So what that meant is we were able to almost do a try before you buy, or make it very, very low risk for a customer to say, look, you can try this out. We can kind of load it with some of your data and show you the proof that it will work and hit your objectives, and also just make it very, very low risk for you to work with us. We're not asking you to sign a very long contract necessarily, and we're not asking for significant upfront investment. It's very much kind of pay as you use. So those were some of the things we could do because of the strength of the product that we had.
That's amazing. That's so cool. And it's so true. They have an idea of risk in their head, that if they make this choice, then it's risky. It might not work. They might be slowed down. They might not get to their goals. And so what you said there is great. It's all about making that risk minimized or eliminated altogether. And that's when your buyers are going to be able to make good decisions for you. So awesome. I'm so glad you said that. The second one, the key team members that you were able to get on board, even though they are remote. How did you do that? How did you make sure that they were going to be good team members? And how have you kept that energy going, even though you have team people all over the place, like you mentioned?
Yeah. So I think recruitment wise, we've done quite a few things. We get a lot of referrals internally, so which is the best source of finding people. And we make a lot of noise with our team about how they are the most important assets and the most important thing about Enable, and the best way of finding more people like them is people that they know. So that was helpful as a referral source. We have also worked with some great recruiters as well to supplement that, and had really quite a structured process to meet people, have first stage, second stage interviews, and get quite a few people at Enable involved in meeting everyone. So that's been a really structured process. I think once people are on board, the number one thing for me is about engagement is the kind of mission that we're on. So things like salary and equity and is all important, but really the most important thing is having a clear vision and mission, which is meaningful and which is exciting, and that's the thing which is infectious, and then people feel that they're doing something worthwhile, and that leads to the best level of engagement. And that's a strong belief that I have. There's lots of things we can do around the outside. We've got all sorts of benefits that we provide, but the central thing has to be a very meaningful kind of mission, which is what people are excited about and why they turn up every day.
That's amazing. So really, it's all about intrinsically, they feel bought in to what's happening and where you're going, and that they feel like they're a part of it.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And having that, we have lots of team sessions on Zoom. We are definitely getting back to face-to-face as well, and that's being rolled out steadily and safely. But lots of cross-team sessions where we really celebrate all the success that the different teams have, and encourage that cross-working and show how everyone relates to everyone else. So often we tell customer stories and explain how every single team had an impact on that, and how it all came together.
That's amazing. I love it. So all that being said, what tips would you give to other software founders who are just starting out on their journey, Andrew?
Yeah, so I think, again, it's about having a focused kind of mission, and finding a specific problem or set of problems that you can solve better than anyone else, and going deep into that. Really, it's so easy, human nature, to be broad and take on a million different things, but really saying no and going deep, and becoming an expert, and having a unique perspective, a nuanced perspective to solving a particular problem. That's really the starting point. And I think get a few customers that you can work with, prove that out, get some success stories, and it's really important to do that. Maybe it's 5, maybe it's 10 customers that you can kind of work with and get to success. And at that point, then I think scaling is again about remaining focused, and looking at how can you replicate, how can you get from 10 to 50 to 100, to 1,000 customers. So those were is how I would simply kind of break down the very first stage, and then starting to scale from there.
Incredible. I totally agree. Focus is absolutely critical, and it seems like you guys are doing it very well. Super, super awesome stuff. Andrew, this has been amazing. Thank you very much for coming and sharing your journey and telling us how you've been able to grow Enable and make it one of those really excellent startup brands that's happening right now. How can our audience learn more about what you're doing and Enable?
Sure. So our website is literally just enable.com. So it's very, very simple. So please go there. We've got lots of links to all of our social media. And my kind of favorite platform is LinkedIn. So please link in with me, contact me on LinkedIn. I'll be delighted to correspond.
Okay, that's awesome. Perfect. And we'll put all that in the show notes and such. But Andrew, thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it.
That's great, Matt. Thanks for having me. I've enjoyed our conversation.
Likewise. I have really enjoyed it myself. And thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you for listening. If you're on the podcast, this has been awesome having you here. I hope you've been able to get a lot of value from what Andrew has shared. Hope you're able to apply it yourself. Make sure that you are subscribed so you don't miss out on any other upcoming segments and guests. We've got a lot of great people coming to you, other amazing leaders and creators like Andrew. So make sure you're subscribed, hit that button, and we'll make sure that we get you the best of the best. Thank you very much for coming, and we will see you next time. Take care.